Howdy, it's Ben again with my book, But Benny, Growing Up Stuttering. Okay, you might be, I don't know what you might or might not be saying. The point is you might not be saying much at all, or at least that's the whole point of these videos, right? I've probably used my voice as much as the average, I don't know, 10-year-old has because, I don't know. What I mean is my voice has had a very low usage because I stuttered well into adulthood, okay? And I still stutter, and it's, I compared it to some other things, but, it's like a process. It's where are you in this, I don't know, vast wilderness of stuttering, like, uh, at some point I became aware I stuttered, and then maybe if no one had reacted at all, I might have, quote, grown out of it, or who knows, I don't know what the exact thing is. But in my case, I became more and more self-aware, and people patted me on the head and told me about all these great people that, also stuttered. And, maybe I should just read from my book because a lot of these quotes are kind of embedded in that. Okay? So basically, you can go to, I don't know where I have it published on. If you look up B-Benny Growing Up Stuttering, Egbertus Prins, that's my legal name, Egbertus Prins, then you should find it. And, if you want to buy the book, you can buy it, but just listen to it free here. I just want people to actually, that stutter, to actually, benefit from my whatever knowledge or whatever. It may be the only knowledge I have that's unique compared to others, you know what I mean? Because everything else I've done, I've learned how to drive, so I drive a car, learned how to computer program, and, the last 2 years I actually have studied to be a paralegal, so I've been doing that for the last 2 years, so I should really be studying for my paralegal exam, not making videos about stuttering, but maybe, sometimes you have to not do something, in order to later on do it. So anyways, I'm going to give you an introduction to my book here, Growing Up Stuttering. Now, I vacillated back and forth between different titles. I had another title where I had 3 B's, the Benny. And I had titles where the subtitle was Adventures at Rolduc. So in other words, it wasn't kind of focused on stuttering, it was more focused on, yes, it was a connotation of stuttering because of the, but there were adventures, there was, life was still lived. I was still a little boy growing up, running in the fields and getting into mischief and playing and shooting my little paper darts through windows and throwing stink bombs and whatever. There were adventures along the way. It wasn't like I was, tied and not living. I've lived, I've loved, I have children, I've had a quote full life. I mean, my life has already been over 12 years longer than my dad had, but that's another story altogether. So I'm just going to read a little I think I'll make these videos a little shorter. I'm just going to give an introduction out to the book, and then the next one will be, whatever fits into about 5 to 8 minutes. So the introduction is the dedication and thanks. Okay? This book is dedicated to my parents. You know what? I'm going to read from a PDF on the screen so that I can kind of, rather than looking down, that I'm more closely watching the camera, even though my eyes will be slightly lower. Okay. This book is dedicated to my parents, Jack and Bep, my brothers John and Jim, and my aunts Ria and Yeti. To my wife, thanks for reading and editing this book, and to my son, you did a great job on the book cover, based on an old picture of me. This is hand drawn by my son. He's he's a computer programmer now, but he has some artistic background too. Did a great job on the book cover based on an old picture of me. Dad, sorry you had to leave us so soon and didn't get to enjoy the new computer and internet age. It's come a long way from 8-digit calculators and Pong. I hope your letters included here will give others some insight into who you were. I regret that Ria couldn't still be with us, but thanks for all the babysitting and caring over the years, especially during my time at Rolduc. Forward. This is generally a work of non-fiction based on events that happened during my childhood years in Holland and letters I received from home during my time away. It does have creative elements, thoughts attributed to people and gaps filled in with my imagination. This is not so much a book about stuttering as it is a book about a young boy's adventures in the context of some struggles he had to deal with. Having said that, it does include some first-hand insights into stuttering. In a manner of speaking, this book is a collaboration between young Benny, given a voice after not being able to express himself well at the time, and my, quote, adult self, putting Benny's memories together to tell both his story and create a family history and archive of other stories passed down by parents and grandparents, capturing some of their adventures and challenges. Now, the background. During his time away from home, Benny received quite a few letters, often 2 a week. Many of these are included in the story, most translated from the original Dutch, with occasional extra information in square brackets. This is more for people reading the paper books. The main storyline ties together and organizes other recollections, and flashbacks are within less than and greater than symbols. But when I'm reading them out loud, I'll just say flashback, or I'll make like a gesture like this, meaning we're kind of going back from the main storyline to some other earlier time that ties in. For the reader's information, an aerogram was an economical way to write to someone overseas, a single sheet that folded together to form a pre-stamped envelope. The Dutch currency, now when I mentioned guilders, in the book it's prefaced by FL for florins, which is a carryover from the earlier used form. In Holland they have euros now, but at the time of the writing everything was in guilders. And when I say football, I mean soccer. Like everybody in Holland, when they talk about soccer, it's football. May the reader enjoy this journey to the late 60s leading into 1970, when man first walked on the moon and when the world's only cell phone was smartly worn on a TV secret agent's right foot. And that's a reference to Get Smart. That was a show where I think the first cell phone, so to speak, was on TV, and he had the cell phone in his shoe. That's why they picked that, I don't know. And then when he'd have to take off his shoe, and then he'd have to. It didn't actually have buttons. It had, because the phones back then had dials, so he actually had to dial the number, meaning he had to rotate something on the shoe to make a call. But whatever, that's beside the point. The next part of the book is the table of contents. It's subdivided into what is it? Because it's in Roman numerals, it's taken me a second to figure out here. To 47, 47 little chapters. So, anyways, that's the introduction to the book, and the next video will hopefully be then on the first chapter, or maybe I'll just talk about stuttering in general in between. I don't know. See what I feel like in a few minutes. Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye.